Alright, so this video, it's gonna be, it started halfway because I decided to remove the bezel and, give it a brush finishing. So I didn't thought of recording that process. But yeah, after I removed the screws, well, this is not exactly the correct screwdriver bit to use. It's actually a hexagonal or I would say Allen wrench bit. But since I do not have, but what I have is a torque bit. So I still managed to remove the screw. Okay, so it's off. But one thing you need to take note, before that. So I'm using a T5. So this is not the correct one. You should go for a proper screw because this might put unnecessary stress on the screw. But after removing the screws, you can see some of them, they have this red rubber sleeve inside there. So I think you will need to remove those sleeve if I'm not mistaken. Some they came off together with the screws, and some is like somehow they got stuck in this hole. So I believe it's some kind of a bushing or a bush to in a way compensate for that tolerance error between that the shoulder of the screw and the case of the watch. Right, so I decided to put my gloves on so you don't have to look at my fingers or the fingernails. I needed the fingernails to do things. So yeah, so with careful persuasion and with some tweezers, you'll be able to remove all that red plastic sleeve or plastic bush from that watch bezel and the watch case. So without removing this, you are not able to pull out the bezel from the watch case. So with all four removed, you should be able to just press out the bezel. Yep. Okay, so yeah, the bezel is out, but somehow there's a spring. Okay, so the bezel is out, but I just noticed that a spring fell off somewhere. So I still have to figure out what this is for. Okay, so there is a very small hole. Let me just try to zoom in a little bit here. There is a very small hole here, and this spring is supposed to sit inside the hole, and I would say it's supposed to create a kind of a tension between the watch case and the bezel so that you don't have any unwanted free play. This is what I'm guessing, or maybe, yeah, I'm guessing that's the case. So yep, it's a little more intricate. I've modded my regular square G-Shock with an aftermarket steel bezel, but we don't have this. But I think Casio, they are more particular in how well the bezel fits on the case, so I guess that's why they put in an extra spring. Yep, so make sure you don't lose this. I mean, even if you were to lose this, maybe what you'll feel is a slightly looser case, or there's some gap. Okay, so you can see the setup, it's a little different here because this is my jig for me to, in a way, brush up the watch case. So what I have here is a box, any rigid box, which I wrap it up with microfiber cloth. So I will use this wall as a guide, and I will place this Scotch-Brite. It's a washing sponge that has this rough texture. It's a Scotch-Brite. So what I'll do is that I will, in a way, rest this thing on the wall, and I will use the watch case. Hopefully, okay, let's turn this to the other side. Hopefully what I'll be able to do is to, use this as a guide and brush the watch case in one direction so that I have a nice uniform vertical brushing. All right, so you can use other way. You don't necessarily have to follow my style of using this box on the wall. If you have a better jig, I would say go for it, because I don't have wooden blocks and things to guide the watch. So I thought, okay, maybe I'll just use the wall and just try to do this. Right. Okay, so I've taped up this large high polish section just for safety wise, because I don't think I'll be brushing this. I'm just gonna brush that top surface of the bezel. but somehow I think, you know, it's best to try to protect it, because when there is like debris coming off, I just do not want that large shiny surface to be scratched. I'm too lazy to cut out the tape to do it for here, so I'm just gonna wing it. Right, so here goes nothing. So what I will try to do is to, you know, one direction, and with some gentle pressure, not a lot, but you know, some gentle pressure. So I'll try to run it a couple of passes and see how it looks. Alright, so this is after a couple of passes. I think, yeah, you get the picture, you see. Yes, you're starting to get that vertically brushed finishing. So maybe I'll run a couple of passes so that all the shiny surface is gone. Alright, let's turn on the light and see if it's better. Alright, not too shabby. Yeah, I think it's okay. I'm gonna remove the tape and, you know, use some water to rinse out all the metallic debris. I think it's okay. It's not like really fine brushing, but yeah, it's definitely brush. Alright, so now I'm gonna assemble back the watch. So you can see I've already put back the spring into that small hole, and I don't think there is any orientation for the bezel, because unlike the bigger version where you have the G-Shock engraved, we don't have that. So I'm just gonna, you know, follow my guts and drop it down with one of the direction I feel is right. So yep. And the next thing to do is for you to, let's see if I can do it through the camera. If not, then I will be doing it differently. So is for you to drop in this red collar into those holes that are supposed to fit the screws. Okay, so yep, I guess they are in. And yeah, next thing is to drop in the screw. Okay, so I think it's good. I'm gonna use back my torque bit, but again, I have to stress this is not the correct bit to use. You're supposed to use like an Allen wrench or, you know, hexagon kind of bit, but you know, this is what I have, and they are able to get the job done. So let's try to screw one of the screws in. Yep, so I think it's good, right? So I'm gonna repeat this step for all the remaining 3 screws, and we're gonna come back with the final results. So there's one more thing I would like to stress, is that if you look at this plastic bushing, there is, I think, a direction. So here you can see a more rounded edge, here a more flatter edge. So the more rounded versions should get inside the watch case, right? So you have to orientate in such a way so that the rounder version is inside. And here I believe there is some kind of a lead in for you to guide that shoulder screw inside the hole. I'm gonna try to do this one more time again, so hopefully I can get it right. Okay, so the screw is here. You try to drop that screw into that red bush or red sleeve. Okay, so once it is in, you use your screwdriver to tighten back the screw. Ta-da! And here's the final review or reveal of the watch. So as you can see, the brushing is, I would say, it's not perfect, but I think it's okay. You know, it's not really like the best of the best. Maybe I used a cheaper Scotch-Brite. Maybe you can find like a better fine grit kind of Scotch-Brite. But yeah, I think it managed to get the job done. It has this vertically brushed finishing, and it's not that dressy anymore. I mean, here, yes, it's still polished, but you know, unlike the original version where all the entire face is high polish, this one it has become a little subtle in appearance. It's not as high polish anymore. I think it's turned out quite good. You know, I kind of like this finish. So yeah, I think that's it for this video. So a few key points here. I think I'm really surprised, you know, how well G-Shock put their thoughts into, you know, designing a metallic case. So first of all, there is a spring that in a way acts as like, you know, a preload so that you don't have any free play. And second thing, that red sleeve here, I think it acts like an absorber, you know, in between the sleeve or the shoulder of the screw to the watch case. So if you happen to drop the watch, there is, you know, some kind of a shock absorber in between that screw and the watch case so that the screw doesn't get a lot of stress. And also, I would say it helps in much like a thread locker kind of deal. You know, there is certain compression between that screw and the watch case, so it helps, like, you know, it acts like a spring washer, maybe a miniature spring washer, so the screw won't come out loose anytime on its own under like vibrations or drops and, you know, your daily motion. So I would say, yep, it's definitely a well thought of design from Casio. You know, this is my first original metal Casio or metal G-Shock, so yep, I'm really impressed with the thought and, you know, engineering that Casio managed to put into the design of the watch. All right, so I hope this tutorial or this how-to video is gonna be a guide to help you to, you know, have the courage to brush your own watch bezel if you happen to have one. I think this same technique with the Scotch-Brite, you know, you can basically use it to, in a way, remove scratches from brushed watch sections. You know, like for example, a lot of people use this technique to remove like heavy scratches on the clasp of their metal bracelet, especially if it's a brush bracelet. So they use the same technique, but maybe you can find a finer grit kind of Scotch-Brite. But this is what I have. Yeah, I stole this from the kitchen from my wife. It's a brand new one, so maybe she'll kill me for this. All right, so that's it, guys. Stay safe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye bye.